So without further ado, Angelique, please introduce yourself.
My name's Angelique, as you know, and I started the Real Count UK, where we are collecting anonymized data on unreported domestic abuse to compare the statistics to people's actual lived reality, because we both know what the statistics are reporting back to us is not what we see day to day real life dealing with
Yeah.
survivors.
So before we start talking more about the real count, I want to know your why behind it. What's your mission behind it? How did we get from day zero
Mm.
to you coming up with this great initiative and idea and mission to collecting this data? Because you're 100% right? And when we first met, and you said, like, we don't have the right statistics, and it's something that I've been repeating over and over again, that whilst we need research and statistics,
Mm.
I don't always rely on them,
Yeah.
because I know I go by women's lived experiences and
Mm.
their own stories and their own voices,
Mm.
because I know how underreported domestic abuse and sexual violence is, right?
Yeah.
But how did you get to literally day zero
Mm.
to where you are today with the real count? Why did you start it?
So not even long ago, I was classed as a MARIC, high risk, which means serious concerns that I was at high risk of either homicide or life-threatening injuries. There was a major situation around it at the time. I had children or have children. So I left the relationship. I got involved in courses like the Freedom Program,
Mhm.
Freedom Forever Program, and the You, Me, and Mum course. I enrolled myself onto them just so I could have a better understanding, because the issue with domestic abuse is that, right, I'm speaking personally here.
Yeah,
I feel like 100% of domestic abuse relationships have got an aspect of coercive control and behavior in them.
absolutely.
100%, of relationships out there. Like, you've got the physical assault, you've got the sexual assault, and all the other aspects to it. But I think baseline coercive control and behavior.
Yeah.
The issue with CCB is that you don't necessarily know that you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I had. So when I was speaking to people and speaking to professionals, it's like, yeah, but that's normal. That's normal in my culture. That's normal for this. You just don't understand because you're different to me and whatever. So when I've now put myself in these courses, and I've spoken to other women, there was a point in which I was on these courses and I was like, hold on, what's the name of your ex? Were we dating the same person?
Yeah.
Because it's literally it's like as if they go to school to learn
Yeah.
these tactics on how to abuse people.
The behavior is the same.
It's
Yeah.
all the same. And there was things that they were reporting and saying, my ex did this to me, and I was thinking, damn, like that's
Mhm.
exactly bar for bar what happened to me as well. Conversations obviously grew. We all got closer because they're like 12-week programs, 11-week programs, etc. We got to know each other over time, and we got to like learn about each other's stories and circumstances, and again what led them to getting onto the course. Like you said, at day zero all started from somewhere. And I think none of them reported it to the police.
Yeah.
None of them reported it to the police. One girl on my You, Me, and Mum course was saying how social services got involved. They threatened to take her boy away. He was only like 1 or 2 at the time, really young, and had a safety plan put in place, so like a contract sort of,
Mhm.
where she had to abide by this or she'll be breaking a contract,
Yeah.
and there'll
And then
be
seen as
trouble.
neglectful to her
It's seen as
children.
neglectful.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
So one part of this contract that they made her sign was that she can't have contact with the child's
The
father.
perpetrator. Yeah.
She wakes up one day and he's in the house,
Yeah.
and the police are at the front door, and now she's panicking because it looks like this guy's living there, but she can't get away from him. And the issue now with this is that if she was to call the police because her ex turns up, or she's walked downstairs in the morning and her ex is making a cup of tea in the
Yeah.
kitchen, it looks like he lives there. And because they're so charming, they can say to the police, I've been here. So, a lot of women don't report abuse, as we know. And it's so funny because one night I was literally about to do my routine, put the kids to bed, make myself a cup of tea, put on Netflix, and I thought something's missing.
Yeah.
And I went online and I looked up the statistics, and it's something like 1 in 5 cases of domestic abuse are reported, and that 1 in 5 already covers over 1 million reports every year. So I'm thinking something needs to be done. There must be like an anonymized platform out there where people can report abuse without worrying about repercussions coming from it. Looked online, nothing,
Nothing. Yeah.
absolutely nothing. So I just sat there and thought, fuck, turn Netflix off. Let's start building something. And that's when I went across names and thought the real count, because we're going to try and find the real count of domestic abuse. Started looking at like MVP, the minimal viable product, as to getting it out there and making it easily accessible for survivors. It was first going to be an app. It was going to be called the Real Count app. But then I thought, we can't have survivors downloading apps
Yeah,
and having the
exactly.
history on
Yeah.
their phone, because if perpetrators, as we know, go through their devices, then it's going to be a problem. And as it developed, we put some videos out on social media. I spoke about my personal story a little bit, and what led me, to doing this, and it caught traction. And now we're working on a national pilot,
Yeah.
which is really good.
And I think just even from the moment that we've met, the progression that you've had with the real count has been absolutely insane. I mean, like, it's been from a day-to-day, week-to-week basis that things have progressed so
Literally,
quickly.
yeah.
And I hope you're really proud of yourself for how far you've
Thank
come
you.
in such a short space of time.
Yeah, I am, but as you know, with abuse and coercive and controlling behavior and psychological abuse, you just feel like an underachiever all the time. You feel like, you're constantly chasing something. You don't even know what you're chasing, but you're chasing something because
Yeah.
you were never enough, So although I am proud, and I've seen the stories firsthand of women coming forward and telling me their issues and why they haven't reported, it's also like so much more needs to be done.
And with the real count, I really want to talk about what exactly it is before we start getting into like personal stuff and our feelings and opinions of the system and domestic abuse. Explain a little bit about what actually happens when victims and survivors access the real count. What does that look like? Are we telling our whole stories on there? Are we just doing yes, no? Is it just multi-choice? Yeah. What is it? Tell us a bit more about how accessible it is for victims and survivors.
So it's a website, www.therealcount.org. It is obviously at pilot stage right now, and it takes about 90 seconds. I've tried to make this as easily accessible. Do it on your way to work, contribute towards the larger picture of unreported domestic abuse across the UK. It's not storytelling. We don't want people to re-traumatize themselves, and then he did this or she done this and they done this to me, so and so. So it's drop down choices.
Yeah.
It starts off understanding a bit more about the type of person that is filling this out. So we don't ask for names, numbers, emails, specific locations. When we actually get onto the national pilot level, then it's just going to be by region, and you still have the option to opt out of them if you want to keep that to yourself. And it quite literally is just a case of what happened, when did it happen, why didn't you report it, and that's it.
Yeah, it's as safe as it can possibly be, because I know that you've had some backlash in terms of safeguarding, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, we've spoken about it quite a bit, and then our response is like, well, what's the alternative?
This is it.
Because you're not catching the real numbers.
This is it. And the issue is that there's always going to be a safeguarding concern there, whether you have anonymized or confidential services. However, we need to know.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. We have to, I don't want to say put it aside, because safeguarding is paramount. However, I've always said that the majority of the time, these safeguarding and duty of care and policies and procedures that are in place for survivors are for the people that are liable if shit goes south.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So I think change only has ever come in history when a woman has stood up and said, enough, something needs to change. And that's what this is. It feels like. I understand the safeguarding risk behind it. I understand, people are chucking out duty of care, this and that. But whether we follow your duty of care or not, the woman who is putting in what she went through or what she's currently surviving is still going to be going through that at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think that we've both experienced what it's like to be in the system, and I've worked frontline with women who are victims and survivors, and I've seen what the system has done to them, trying to hold them accountable for the perpetrator's behavior. And regardless of how anyone wants to put it in terms of, saying what about the safeguarding and the duty of care, blah, 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 the reality is that when we do come forward and we do report it to the police, immediately we're the ones who face the backlash. We're the ones who are told that we're neglectful for not keeping our children safe, which is the most unfair, because why does the burden fall on the victim instead of the perpetrator? And this is why I've really loved the real count, because obviously, my work has been about storytelling and making sure that women's voices are getting out there in longer form, in a longer format, right? But what the real count does is it removes all of as much fear as possible for women to come forward and to report it. Because I think if you had told me when I was in the thick of it to call the police, there's no way. I mean, the police turned up at my door and I still lied to them.
Same. Yeah.
Because I was terrified.
I told them to fuck off. Like, I was rude to them. Because I was more fearful of who was behind me. Yeah, I mean, it's really sad. I mean, the statistics that I've seen come through and the stories that I've seen come through so far have been heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And obviously, as you know yourself, when you go from a survivor to a professional in this space, it's so hard not to like get too involved. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing the things that are coming through and I'm thinking, I want to help you. The most harrowing is when, because there is an option on it to put when you've gone through this abuse, and one of the answers is currently
Currently,
ongoing,
yeah, present.
and they are the ones that hurt me the most, because it's like I'm laying down in my bed at night and I'm thinking, I know I've been through it personally. I know what it's like. You can be calm in the house one minute and the next minute is a bus up,
Yeah.
and you know things are going south. And it's just so many people have put currently ongoing, reason for not reporting, fear of children's social care,
Yeah.
fear of the criminal court system, fear of the family court system,
Yeah.
blackmail.
Yeah.
These women are out there. They're amongst
Yeah,
us.
because we know that it doesn't end just the moment that we leave. And
No.
I think when I left, so I'm 7 years out now, I did have that misconception that if I end the relationship and I leave,
Yeah.
I'm, not going to be at risk anymore. And actually what I didn't realize, that I was reducing the risk, yes, but the risk was still going to be there. And even 7 years on, the risk is still very much there. It's very present. And this is why, and I've banged on about this for years and years and years, why I'm so passionate about using the right language and the right terminology in terms of like victim survivor, because a lot of women have a lot of shame because there's so much stigma attached to that, right? And I want women to understand that when you are using the right terminology, you are quite literally saving your own life.
Yeah.
Because if you were outside on the streets and you get attacked by a stranger and this stranger, causes actual grievous bodily harm, you go to court, you are the victim of that crime.
Yeah.
But when you have someone within your own home doing that to you, whether it's through coercive control, whether it's mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. It's still a form of violence. It doesn't have to be physical for it to be violent, right? You're a victim. You're very much a victim. And by not using those right terminologies, we're putting women at even further risk, because I think that we're removing how much risk that women are under in terms of actually ending up in a domestic abuse homicide.
Yeah. I mean, the weight is always on our shoulders. It's always on our shoulders. The expectations, the blame, the weight of it all will always be on our shoulders, because you get into these relationships, it's your fault. You should have known about him. You try and leave the relationship. I mean, it branches off now, because you've got, why would you leave a good man? You've got, why didn't you stay with him and keep your family together? And when you leave, it's, oh, now you're a single mum, or now you're used goods, or, you're older now, so you're not going to find a man. You try and get justice for it. And then now you've got these expectations of, oh, you're so strong.
Yeah. I hate being told I'm strong.
I really don't like
hate
that
it. Like,
either,
no,
what
I
fucking
wasn't.
choice did I
What
have?
choice did I have?
You
But
know?
also, I wasn't strong. I
Yeah.
actually wasn't strong.
No.
When I was being attacked, I wasn't strong. When I was told that I was damaged goods, I wasn't strong. When I was told that no one else would love me, when I was told that he was my savior, I wasn't strong. I wasn't strong the day that I left either. And I hate that when so many people have that misconception that, oh my God, women who come out and share their stories are so strong. To me, I don't see another way.
No.
And that's that. I don't see myself as
It's a bit of
strong.
an
It was
insult.
life or death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Dragging yourself
Yeah.
through. It's literally
Yeah.
an option. You either survive this or you don't.
Yeah.
It's binary. It's black and white. There's
It's
no
life
other
or
way
death.
out,
Exactly.
So when people say it's strong, it's like, no.
Yeah.
This is so much more deeper than that. Strong is surface level.
Yeah.
This is primal survival instinct to get through this, especially when you have children on top of it, to try and get them out as well and see them thrive and not just survive. So I mean, yeah, whenever someone tells me that I'm strong, it's like, well,
what was
what
the
else
what was
was
the
I supposed to
alternative?
do?
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well, something that I always get like really pissed off about is as victims, when we're in it and we start to realize the danger, or whether the system is involved or not, whether it's social services or the police, form of agency, or whether it's you yourself, because at the point of leaving, I didn't have anyone, like any systematic agency involved. But when I started to realize the real danger that I was under, and I started to realize that this is actually life or death, like it was I got to that, like this is life or death. You either get out or someone's gonna end up dead, right? And you start to realize that the danger you're under, and you're told leave to keep yourself safe, to keep your children safe. Then you leave, and at some point, I'm actually yet to meet a survivor that hasn't had the system involved.
Really?
Most of the women I talk to on a date, and bear in mind, like thousands and thousands of women, I'm yet to meet a survivor that hasn't had the system involved some way, somehow. And we're told to leave to keep our children safe, and then we do so, and then we're forced to have to communicate with our perpetrator so that he can still have access to the children.
Doesn't make sense.
In what world, as I said, let's go back to the example of if I was attacked by a stranger in the street, nobody would ever force me to have contact with that perpetrator ever again. They'd be like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, this person could have killed you. There's no way that you should be having contact with them. But yet, as survivors, we're forced to then have to have sometimes daily contact and also hand over documents like passports, you know, medical stuff about our children or school information, discuss these really personal things that could put our safety at risk, and hand them over to the perpetrator and be like, here you go, because the court said so.
Yeah, it's scary. I've had my whole medical record shared from birth up until now. I've had so many sensitive documents shared and put out there. I've seen one woman as an example. It wasn't me, thank God, but they done I don't know what it's called when they request all the documents, like the medical ones, but they had all of her therapist's notes that they shared, and then obviously now he's going to use that against her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it gets around to one of my main points, which is going to be seen as very much controversial, which is fine. But domestic abuse is manufactured. If, you know, the government came out earlier this year with the new VARG strategy, the violence against women and girls strategy, and they are committing themselves to halving violence against women and girls in the next 10 years. And it's funny, because it's not funny, it's scary, because violence against women and girls doesn't just cover domestic abuse. It covers nightlife crime. It covers, you know, because domestic abuse is familiar. It's you know, in the house. They're talking about the whole sector. They want to halve it. And it's like, how on... Is it rage bait?
Yeah, I feel like that. I couldn't agree with you more, actually. Yeah,
you know. And then obviously, I made a post about this on LinkedIn, right? Did you see it?
Which one?
I haven't posted on LinkedIn for a very long time, right? But I just, on my keyboard one night, I was like, you know what?
You know what? Everyone's getting it.
I've got a problem, and you're going to hear about it today. Yeah. And I went on, and what is it? I said, I'm not being funny, yeah.
I'm absolutely not about to be funny whatsoever.
I said, even if
everyone's getting it,
that needs asterisks in it, bring it. But it's like, this is getting to a point. I'm new in this sector, right?
Yeah.
It's cool, but I've got my own fresh view on things, and I'm thinking something isn't adding up here. So now, what is it? What did I say? I said, that is it. We can fly to space for leisure.
Yeah.
We've got AI. We've got electric cars that can drive itself. If you told anyone 50 years ago, you'd be thinking, damn, we're in the future. Like, we can fly to space for leisure.
Yeah.
Like, there's billionaires going on to trillionaires. Like, you know, we're in a new age. But we still got domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Domestic abuse is medieval.
Yeah.
It's old. This has been going on since women and men have known each other to have some sort of different hierarchy level, but we've still got it. Now it makes me think, why? And who is it benefiting? Because at the end of the day, if you've got an issue, you're going to solve it.
Yeah.
Right? No one's got an issue that goes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years on. We had an issue with horses pulling carts. We got cars now.
Yeah.
We had an issue, you know, sailing across seas for 8 weeks to get somewhere. We've got planes now. But domestic abuse is still very much alive, you know? So that's what makes me genuinely believe that this is manufactured and someone is benefiting from it. Doesn't make sense. You want to half violence against women and girls. You don't even know how
you don't even know the reality, the real numbers.
You know?
You don't even know the real numbers. And that's the thing, isn't it? Who is it benefiting? It's benefiting men in the system.
Yeah. It's a boys' club.
It's benefiting men. Domestic abuse benefits men 100%. And the system. And it's one of the reasons why I actually came up with the idea of creating the Global Rights Charter for survivors of domestic abuse, because much like you, when you're like, it must exist. It must exist. And I was looking through hundreds of different VARG documents, sitting with UN women, sitting up, you know, really, really high up, you know, organizations and institutions. And they were all just generalized, broad VARG documents, VARG guidelines, buzzword, right? But when it came to actually finding that was just specialists for domestic abuse to reach survivors worldwide, nothing.
Right.
And I was like, how is that possible?
It doesn't, you think that, no, surely,
like, how is that possible? And that's what was one of the motivations behind me starting the Global Rights Charter for survivors of domestic abuse, was because and the fact is that even when these, you know, documents are written, they're written in the sense of trying to keep women and girls safe, but how safe are they keeping women and girls when we're not the ones who even can access it easily, when we're not the ones who are in control of it?
Yeah.
So these, they just become really nice to have things for organizations, right? And that is very much my opinion on it. I understand that maybe the intentions are well-meaning behind it, but actually when you look down to how we access it as women and girls, I hate to break it to you, but how do you access a UN document? You tell me. How do you access it?
I don't know.
Don't know. Exactly. Don't know.
Yeah, I didn't
Exactly.
know they existed.
They've got like, these huge institutions and organizations have strategies in place, right?
Yeah, but who's reading it?
But who's
Because
reading
I'm
it?
not reading it. When I'm getting battered, right?
Yeah, who's reading it?
Abused,
Yeah.
and I'm scared of my husband or my boyfriend or my partner, I'm not going to sit there like,
Yeah. Yeah. And let me read all of this jargon line by line.
babe.
It's out of touch, right? It's out of
yeah.
touch. And I no matter how much I talk about this and I really try and get in there with the other organizations and explain to them, like, survivors, women on the ground are not accessing your help because they don't trust you. They don't understand the language that you're talking to them. You might as well be talking to them in Latin.
Yeah.
They don't trust you.
No.
And no one wants to listen.
No.
And that's why a lot of women then turn, to example, to social media to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of safety, a sense of community, because these other big organizations that are monopolizing the sector, not just nationwide here in the UK, but worldwide, worldwide, women frontline who are going through it on a daily basis, they don't even trust you. I'm telling you this now. If you're a big charity, big organizations, these women that you're wanting to help, they don't trust you. So they turn to smaller grassroots organizations like ours for support and help. We can't support and help them because we don't even have the funds to.
Yeah, because it's been eaten up by a certain someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just literally reminded me. That's quite literally what my LinkedIn post was about. I said how frontline, because when I put this first out there, I walked into LinkedIn like, hello, world.
Yeah.
This is my great idea. Embrace me. I was not embraced.
We all come into the sector like that, though. We all come into the sector like that, to be fair.
Like champagne cork popping. Like I've just thought of the next thing that's going to save us all. Like, wait. But no, I got ambushed. I got people setting up Zoom calls with me just to try and bring me down. Like, oh, this and that, this and that. You don't know what you're doing. Like, what's your qualifications? What gives you the... I'm thinking, hold on. I thought we were all... I genuinely joined LinkedIn
the sector's
thinking...
not like that. When I first met you, I said that to you. I was like...
This warned me.
Yeah.
But the issue is, there's two aspects of this. I've always said that once you get put in an arena with a certain people, you're going to have your back up. Sometimes it can make you very defensive of yourself and make sure you put higher boundaries in place and it come across as you're being an asshole. I understand that bit, but the second part I feel like fuels the is vulturism a word?
I don't know, but we're going to use it for this. We're using it for this.
Fuels the vulturism in the VARG sector is the fact that we are all trying to take a slice of the same cake. We're not business to consumer. We don't have consumers coming along and paying for our services. We are organizations, we're non-profitable organizations trying to help women out of this situation. So now when we're all trying to eat from the same cake, what's going to happen?
No, exactly. We become vultures. We become vultures. And that's why I said to you, I was like, you have to see, and I don't care who this upsets, because there are people who still monopolize the sector, regardless of how many great ideas we come into the sector, how many initiatives we have, what the mission behind the work is, whether we're on the ground, talking to women every single day, grassroots, they don't care. They're up here. They want to maintain their status and their power in this. And this is the one thing why when I went into the sector to practice as an IDVA, I did it because I was like, I just want the professional experience of what it's like to work with women frontline. I had no idea what I was walking into. I mean, people warned me, people in the sector, that mostly women who'd worked in the sector warned me, because again, it's mostly women who work in the sector because the sector relies on women's sometimes almost free labor off the back of their own trauma. And I walked into the sector thinking, I'm just going to get some experience of what it's like working, supporting women so that I can better my own practice. I had no idea of truly what the power imbalance was going to be like within the sector itself.
Scary when you first see it, isn't it?
Yeah, because it was really re-traumatizing for me. And that's one of the reasons why I walked away. I was like, nah, I'm not going to be a part of this. I refuse to. And now I have, like my own views of how the sector operates, and people don't like it. But the reality is I can't be out here saying, yeah, the sector's great. Yeah. Everyone's great. Everyone's having a great time. No, we're not. We're actually not having a great time, because those of us who are really trying to practice safely, and those of us who have the access to the community frontline on the ground, we're limited to what we can do. And we're the ones that the women trust the most.
100%. I mean, in my spare time, I really like going on the Charity Commission website and seeing how much CEOs pay themselves,
Yeah.
because then the conversation gets very interesting.
Yeah.
We put money and money and money into these organizations with, you know, fundraisers and donations and government funding and everything else. You go onto the Charity Commission website, you type in your favorite organization, and you go and look at how many trustees are paid over, I think £60,000 per year, and you'll start seeing things add up in your head and be like, okay, so this is where the money's going.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of it, but I'm sorry, I don't believe that CEOs of organizations that are meant to be non-profitable and helping others should be on
X
salaries.
amount. I've never done that. I've never actually gone on.
Oh,
I've
I love
seen
it.
I've seen things flying around about salaries in the sector.
Yeah.
And it's wild because as an IDVA frontline, you are looking at around here, depending on where you work in the country. If you're working in London, it's around 30k a year, up to 33k to be an IDVA.
Yeah.
And that's actually like, so when I was an IDVA frontline with the charity that I was working for, I was on £33,000, right? And that's like, that's it. You're not going to get paid any more than that as an IDVA, which is insane. £33,000 to keep women alive. And mind you, the level of risk that you carry, even just emotionally, emotionally, £33,000 is nothing. The thing is, right, because £33,000, when you break it down, after taxes and stuff, is £2,000 a month.
Yeah.
And you're working 40-hour weeks to keep women alive
and you'll have
and
women
safe.
in your caseload dying.
Yeah. When I first went into the job, I had over, I think it was around 50 or over 50. I can't remember now, but it was around 50 or over 50 women because I was taking over someone else's role who sadly, who had to leave the organization, and she was the only one in the position at the time. So I took over the role and I was the only one on the service looking after the victims.
50
women. Before they recruited more and more. And that's my point, is that where is the money going then? And this isn't about this particular organization that I worked with, because I've really I loved the team and I enjoyed working there, and it was, you know, as far as working in the sector, I really feel like it was like the safest way that organization that I was with. But when you're looking at salaries that are like between 25 to 33,000 pounds, first of all, the disparity is insane. That's an £8,000 disparity. But me and you are online, we're seeing this. I'm seeing when job applications are coming up for IDVAs. I'm seeing, it doesn't matter how you word it, whether they want to word it community support or community outreach. Yeah, it's IDVAs, right? We're supporting victims. £25,000 is nothing.
No. And the issue is that the VARC sector in general, and this is what makes me just always go back to the point that it is manufactured, because if you wanted change, you would bring the lower, I don't want to call them lower level, but this is how it is seen in the hierarchy of the system. You'd bring the lower level up to advise, to tell you where the shortfalls are. How on earth are you going to halve violence against women and girls, keeping the same system? What have they done?
Yeah.
And you still got these loopholes. You still got social services barking at I say families, mothers.
Mothers, mothers, 100%.
You still got the family court system that is so privatized that even if I was to speak and say one sentence right now, I would be in big trouble.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we know.
Literally being gagged. Criminal system. What did they say, that they were going to get rid of the jury to speed up the criminal system? Like, oh yay, great. No one's celebrating that. You know,
exactly.
It's just I'll always go back to the point. It is manufactured. If they really wanted violence against women and girls to end, there would be harsher sentences. There would be more specialist trained police officers. There would be less scrutiny over mothers that try and leave. There'll be more forgiveness, more empathy, and less systems in place. Because I mean, you can get allocated a social worker on Monday and have a different one by Wednesday.
Oh, absolutely. I know.
Talk about your whole and not talk about your situation in a therapeutic way and say, I've gone through this. You're having to talk about your situation in a way like, please don't take my child up.
Like you're begging for your life.
You're begging for your life.
Because once the system is involved, you've lost a sense of autonomy in that sense.
100%. Oh my gosh. I had one social worker sit down in front of me and go, did he rape you?
Oh my God.
In front of a student social worker. And I just started crying because it's such a direct question that I've never been asked before. And it's like, how am I supposed to answer that? And whatever I do answer, I'm going to be wrong. If I say no, Angelique is not truthful. She's not engaging with social with professionals. She's,
and that's exactly how they'll write their notes. I've seen it.
I've seen engaging. And if I say yes, Angelique was a victim. This and she didn't.
Like, the children are at risk.
The children are at risk. You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it. I've supported women. There has been times where in my practice as an IDVA, where I've intervened at the point where the mums were on PLO. So when you're on PLO, for anyone who doesn't know what that means you've already gone into pre-court proceedings where the social services are attempting to remove the children from your care. And when I broke down the case, it was, as a team, it's not just me, by the way, it was a team. When we broke down the case, but I was the one who was working with the victim. That was my sole responsibility, was to take care of the victim. When we broke down the case, you realize how much duress and coercive control the victim was under, how it led to where she was, to the point where the system was trying to remove the children from your care. I mean, we intervened to the point where we actually stopped her children from being removed from her care because she had the right form of advocacy. Had she have not been able to access the service and that level of advocacy, I mean, you can access any service. If the practitioners on the service don't even know what the fuck they're talking about and they're not skilled, you're just as screwed, right? So you need to have advocates on services and practitioners that know what they're doing. And for me, a lot of my skills as an advocate, because regardless of the fact that I qualified as an IDVA and practiced, professionally frontline, a lot of it came from my lived experience. A lot of it came from knowing what it was like living with a perpetrator. And even, as you said, like, you don't even realize that you are under coercive control. You just do it. You just do it. Like, if
comes second nature, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like, if someone was to sit down with me, a professional, which has happened, and ask me questions like, okay, well, describe what financial abuse looked like for you. And if I was just to describe it in one sentence, you'd be like, that's not financial abuse. I would need a whole week to explain to you how I got from day zero to how I was financially abused. I can't describe it to you in just one sentence, just sitting down with a professional in the system. Someone that I don't know. I don't trust you. And this is why victims, a lot of the time, the system fails. I mean, the system is set up to fail us regardless. We're just playing a losing battle, where we are in a losing battle and we have to navigate it as best as we possibly can. And that's the reality. Because especially when you go into something knowing that this is against me, this wasn't set up to work in my favor. Now what do I do? So to sit in front of a professional and to explain that this perpetrator raped you in front of someone you've never met and someone who's still studying for their position, I don't think these people understand what they're doing to women.
No, they don't. It's completely emotionless. I'd have a more positive conversation speaking to ChatGPT. To be quite honest with you, I'd have more empathy speaking to AI. And this is how bad it is. I've got a friend who studied, I think, criminology, forensic criminology or something in university. And I was speaking to her about the issues because she knows my whole situation. I said to her, like, what the fuck?
Now what? What the fuck? Quite literally, what the fuck?
It's madness. She said to me how when police officers train for their position, they have to go, can I get it up? I'll tell you what it's called, because I really do believe that this should be implemented across social services as well. A situational judgment test. And police officers have to go through this. I'm paraphrasing, right? This is how she described it to me. I'm probably might get it wrong. A situational judgment test where they're basically tested on their judgment of certain situations and how well they would deal with it. And if you get piss poor scores, you're not going to qualify as a police officer, because there could be an emergency happening in front of you and you don't know how to deal with it because whatever, you don't have the right judgment. But social workers can literally just go into the field and that's it. And they think they're saving children. So you don't know what you're even saving them from majority of the time. I know we have serious cases of abuse and other situations, but the majority of the time it is domestic abuse. The majority of the time it's a situational judgment test and it's a competence test. And that's what police officers have to go through before they become frontline services. Because another issue is that people don't realize how much power social workers hold legally. They hold a lot of power. Just because they come in a nice M&S sweater and cute little, trousers, little flats and stuff. Don't think these people don't have a uniform. If social workers had uniform, people would take them more serious, I think, or they'd understand.
I really agree with you. And I was just, as you're talking, like, I'm remembering all the social workers that I've worked with, and the good ones always end up leaving because they cannot work within the system. It's too much. Like, they cannot work within the red tape. The red tape is horrific and it ruins lives. And regardless of how many, because I've delivered training to social workers, I've delivered training to housing officers, and the things that I've heard in those training sessions, one housing officer once said, well, how can you tell the difference? Because I'm sure I've had women come in and claim that they were victims just for housing. I almost I almost lost my shit in that
Emphasis
moment.
on I'm sure.
Yeah.
You don't, you just,
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
my response to her in that session, that training session was, well, you do your job and then you get the domestic abuse professionals involved so that we can tell you
Yeah.
whether
Why are you
it's
trying
it's
to,
legit or not.
yeah.
Because I can tell you now, I would never have been able to just turn up at the housing, like claiming homelessness as a result of domestic abuse without it being my absolute last resort. Do you understand how desperate a woman has to
And do you
be?
know how much evidence you need?
Do you
You
know how
can't
much?
just say I was abused. You have to
Yeah,
get reports, and even then, it might not be good
yeah,
enough. I know survivors personally, and they've tried to get extra help, and the amount of
yeah,
documentation they've had to send. Did you get convicted? No. Well, what other evidence do you have
yeah,
then? They're
yeah,
cold.
yeah,
They are so cold, and this is why I'm always going to come back to the point it's manufactured, because another thing is that housing should not be that inaccessible
yeah.
where survivors, you know, where housing officers are even saying that people are faking domestic abuse. Even just
It's
saying that
mad.
sentence is nonsense
Oh,
to try
it's
and get
mad.
housing. Where the hell are all the houses?
Yeah.
Where are the spaces for people to live? It's just, I don't I don't understand.
Yeah. And even like the amount of times that I had social workers, even the way they write their referrals is insane, where they will be like, oh yeah, he say like if they use the right terminology, they'd say like he's the perpetrator, but she's the perpetrator too. She's the victim, but also the perpetrator because she fought back. And they use terms like reactive abuse. And I'm
That's
so
it.
fucking
Yeah.
sick of these terms. Please stop using them as buzzwords, especially in particular because you have no idea what you're talking about. And the amount of times that women were referred into victim services with that kind of language on the referral forms is insane.
What the hell
Because
is
how can
reactive
someone you
abuse?
can't
Imagine someone stabs me and then I fight them back. Oh, she's also perpetrator.
but this is my point. This is my point that had it have been on the street and it was a stranger,
You know?
say, but when we do it within our own homes, within our own partners, we're told we're just as bad as the perpetrator.
What is the main theme here is the idea of property,
Yeah,
ownership over a
absolutely.
woman's body,
Entitlement. Yeah.
because it's like when you're, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you are assaulted in the street by a stranger, what do they say? That was someone's mother, that
Yeah.
was someone's wife, that was
Yeah.
someone's partner, someone's sister, someone's daughter. We're just property. It's not
Yeah.
that was someone. It's always what we are related to someone else.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, it's going to be a man.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's in the house, it's like that's your man doing
Yeah.
it. So it's
Yeah.
how recent ago was marital rape made illegal?
But that's the thing is because when men are perpetrating violence and abuse towards women and girls in the context of domestic abuse, right, and intimate partner relationships, they all feel justified in what they're doing.
Yeah.
So when I've done perpetrator work, right, if you get perpetrators, if you get men in the group who are perpetrators of domestic, if you get men all in a group that are perpetrators of domestic abuse, and you say, can we all agree that hitting a woman is wrong? They'll be like, yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. Hitting a woman 100% is wrong. Any violence towards women is wrong. Okay, so why did you hit your partner? Well, she cheated on me. Well, she didn't make my dinner, or she didn't listen to me, or she went out with her friends, or she did this. There's always a reason. So they know they're being violent. They just think they're justified in doing it.
Yeah.
So a lot of this isn't even a case that when men are perpetrating that they don't know what they're doing. I'm sick and tired of that argument. I'm sick and tired of hearing that narrative that when men are perpetrating domestic abuse that they have no. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't go to work and have a shit day and then go and hit your boss.
No, absolutely not.
So you are very much in control of your behavior. You know exactly what you're doing.
Have you ever seen the switch they have when you're in an argument with them or in a fight? Have you ever had someone knock on the door whilst you're in the middle of it? They'll be
Yeah, it's
screaming
quite
at
literally
you.
the police. Yes, my neighbour called the police on us once.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, no, I've had that whole situation as well, but I'm talking like a postman or someone like a civilian.
Probably like I cut. In all honesty, Angelique, like there were so many incidences that I couldn't even sit here and tell you every single one. But the one that would stick out for this would be the police.
Right. But have you seen like where the whole demeanor changes? Like I've had it where he was literally screaming at me, throwing things, about to hit me, and then someone knocks on the door. Yeah, you're right. Calm. And then back to me, and they're on it. So it's like they know exactly.
Oh no,
what
they
they're doing.
do. They're absolutely
100%.
in control of their own behavior, and I really need people to stop trying to make excuses for perpetration, even in terms of trying to label perpetrators, because like I feel like as a society we're almost obsessed with perpetrator behavior, whether it's domestic abuse or any other forms of violence, right? We're obsessed with understanding criminals. We're obsessed, like we have documentaries about Jeffrey Dahmer, about, you know, all of these other like Ted Bundy, like all these other like prolific serial killers, and we're obsessed. We sit there and we watch documentary after documentary after documentary to try and understand the behavior. You're never going to understand it because you're not them, thank God. Fortunately, we're never going to understand it. And B, regardless of the fact that what personality type, it doesn't matter what mental health problems they have, they still chose to do what they did.
Do you know what I think?
Go on.
I think that abuse is a separate mental health issue. Because when I first went through it, and then when these women are telling me their stories, and again, I'm open for debate here. If you tell me your opinion, and I'm talking shit, because when I was going through the abuse and I was speaking to the other women, and when they said he done this to me, and I was thinking, is your man's name? Were we dating the same guy?
Yeah.
Because it's the same behavior. I've also, what you just said there actually relates to that book. Why does he do that? Have you read that?
No, I haven't.
It's
No.
really, really good, really good. But back to the point, I was kind of thinking, is there a way to find out if perpetrators or perpetrating is an actual mental health disorder? And I'm not here to say schizophrenia, I'm not here to say depressive disorder, because there are people that are depressed that don't abuse, and there are people that abuse that aren't depressed. Like, and it goes above board, like across the board, sorry, for domestic abuse and mental health. There's people with serious mental health out there, alcohol issues, drug issues, that don't abuse their wives, and it goes the opposite way. So it makes me actually wonder if 10 people, for example, were to go to a doctor's surgery and say, I struggle to get out of bed in the morning, I've lost my appetite, I don't really enjoy the things that I used to do. Every single doctor will majority sign off, say depressive, whatever, they've got depression. But then when you've got 10 men showing the exact same behavior and the exact same order, why is no one saying there's a pattern here that needs to be explored?
So, yeah, and I hear what you're saying, right? So the fact is that people don't abuse because of their mental health, right? Because they've got mental health issues. They don't abuse because they have substance use. They don't abuse because they've had violent childhoods. They don't abuse because of their personality type. They don't abuse because of all of these things. They are added factors, absolutely. Do they exacerbate the situation? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's still a choice. Because if we go back to, those people who do have, let's say, like serious mental health conditions, or who have been abused as children, who have been, all of this violence and abuse in their whole entire life, I don't abuse other people. You don't abuse other people. So therefore, it still will always go back to it being a choice, even if the common there is a common denominator maybe between all of them of mental health issues.
But we all have a choice to abuse then.
Yeah.
I could go
Yeah,
and find a partner
that's my
and choose
point.
to abuse them.
Yes.
But we don't. And you know how you just said the reason we
Yes.
don't understand Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer and all the other notorious murderers is because we're not them. We're not murderers.
Yeah.
Do you not think the same applies for abuse? Because I'm exploring something that maybe hasn't really been like thought about in depth in terms of psychology. But is there something I just don't understand it. I don't understand how they all exhibit the same behaviors. If, like I said, if 10
Because
people
it's
go to the
behavior,
doctor,
because it's learnt behavior. That's why it's learnt behavior, and I completely understand
like
the
smoking
need
cigarettes.
to want to. I completely understand the need to want to understand it. Right, I get it. Like, I understand that that's especially for victim survivors, because you're like, why, like how, why? I don't get it. Like,
I don't understand.
I understand that need. Believe me, like I went through it myself. But regardless of any of that, it's still a choice. It's still a choice, because about my history, it doesn't matter what violence and abuse I experienced. I still grew up not perpetrating violence and abuse onto other people.
I think this is my survivor side still like rearing its head and trying to find out why he did the things that he done to me. Because again, I just won't ever understand. And it's like you had a choice to either have a loving marriage, have a happy family, and grow together as a unit, or try and murder your partner. And watch your kids grow up in the care system. And I always ask, it always be a thought that will forever float around in my head. Why?
And I know, I get that, because you think I wouldn't do that to anyone.
Do that to someone.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put anyone through that, especially if they have children. And I think oftentimes when as women, as mothers who are victim survivors, the hardest part is actually sharing children with perpetrators, because we love our children, and then we always have to come with a caveat of, I love my child to death. Of course you fucking love your child to death. Yeah. When I talk to women, they'll always be like, I love my child so much. And I always say, you don't have to justify that. I know you love your child. You never have to caveat that. I completely get it. The reality is, and it's still hard to share children. You can love your child unconditionally. We all do. And that doesn't mean that doesn't make it hard to share children with a perpetrator, especially when they are using the system against you and to abuse you. It's hard. And that's I think for probably a lot of mothers, that might be quite a hard thing to live with every day.
Yeah.
Because how do you raise children when their father is the one that abused you and continues to abuse you in one way or another?
Again, the weight is on our shoulders.
The weight is always on our shoulders, yeah, because we're the ones like, of course, I'll do whatever I need to, whatever I can to protect my child. And I say this to women all the time, like, fucking hell, I thought I did the best I could to shield her. It wasn't my fucking burden to shield her.
No.
There would be nothing to shield her from if there wasn't a perpetrator in the equation.
If, God forbid, someone attacked you in the street and you protected your child, would you have that same guilt?
Thank you.
You'd feel proud.
And do you know what? We can always go back to this example. And people would tell you, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Oh my God, what hero.
Brave.
You'd be a hero.
Saves her own child.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to domestic abuse, you failed.
Yeah, you failed. You were neglectful.
Didn't protect your child. Or my favorite is you neglected your child because your child watched you getting beaten up.
Yeah.
And it's like,
how is that? How is the burden on me?
Yeah.
I wasn't beating myself up.
Do you know what I mean? But yet still the weight falls on our shoulders.
Yeah.
It'll always be heavy. There's another issue that I've got is that as women, especially when dealing with the system, if we speak up and defend ourselves, we're seen as aggressors.
Yeah.
We're seen as the problem.
Yeah.
When we back down and try and it's survival instinct, right? It's fight or flight, or what's the other one? Play dead one?
Freeze or fawn.
Yeah. Freeze or fawn. When we try and approach the system in a different survival method, because it is survival, we're seen as vulnerable to abuse. We're seen as very quiet and timid. We're seen as, vulnerable. We can't win.
Yeah.
And this is why more needs to be done. We can't, it's not even us. The government cannot continue allocating all the funding for violence against women and girls to a handful of organizations that have a blanket approach. Will keep you on hold for 40 minutes. You get on the phone, you're given ID numbers. You don't know these people by name. You call back and you got a different person. The person who saved my life was my IDVA. And she was amazing. She literally held me up when I didn't know I could continue. She reassured me. She advocated for me like she was my family member in the meetings that I wasn't in, and came back and said, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And without her, Layla, I don't think I'd be here. I genuinely don't think I'd even be alive, because if it wasn't him that took my life, it would have been me. It was so stressful to watch your family be dissected and you as a woman be blamed when I don't want to say all I did, but I'm going to say it. All I did was get beaten up. That's where I went wrong. What about him? So what we have is this machine, and something that one of my exes said to me is that there's a new batch of 18-year-olds every year.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. And it's a machine. And we have these girls turning 18 years old this year, next year, the year next.
Oh, that makes me feel physically sick.
We'll have new young women who think they are ready for the world because they're 18 now. They can drink, they can buy cigarettes, they can drive without a company and whatever, and they will meet these men who to them will be fresh meat, legal age, fresh meat. You're so mature for your age. You're what are you studying in college? I can help with that. I've got this, I've got that. Let me be your mentor. Let me help you in this way. And you've got your next set of victims.
No grown man needs to be mentoring an 18-year-old girl.
You know what I mean? Literally. And the issue is that this affects everyone, because you get women in graves, men in prison, if not, men out there causing more women to be in graves or institutions or have their children put into the care system. And the government think this is just the violence against women and girls sector. This covers Department of Education. This covers the HMP probation service. It covers the prison.
It's an everybody problem.
It's an everybody problem.
It's not an everybody problem. It doesn't, and this is why I use the term the system, because I can't sit here and just say social services and just say police and just say this. It is the whole. You were the one who said to me, Layla, it's a machine. Because I would say system. You were like, no, it's a machine. And 100% machines are there to manufacture, churn, like you said. And that's why you're saying it's manufactured.
Yeah, it is. If the government really are serious about ending violence against women and girls, because we don't even want to half it, we want to fucking end it. We don't want to half it. There's still going to be half of people out there. It's great to work towards, but in this day and age, we shouldn't even have an issue of violence against women and girls at the level that it is at, The goal is not to halve it. The goal
Yeah.
is to end it.
Yeah.
And to end it, we need to start looking at the system,
Yeah.
not one specific organization to try and take over everything, because they can't. I've called them before. I've been on hold for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
The first line they want to hit you with is that everything you say to us is
confidential
the
unless
word
it's a major
confidential.
safeguarding breach. I know.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why I moved away from working as an IDVAB, was because I felt like I know I wasn't part of the problem, because there's no way I could ever be, right? Because I was doing everything I possibly could to support these women. However, the first conversation you have when they pick up the phone is, hi, my name is so and so, just making sure first you've consented. But if a woman is on a CP, yeah, and she has no CP is a child protection plan with social services, which means she legally has to oblige with everything, otherwise she's at risk of losing her children. And then they refer to us as a service, and I say, did you consent to this? And she's like, yeah, well, what other choice do I have? How is that? But how is that informed consent? It's not. And so I always used to give the women the choice of like, listen, I understand the situation you're in. We can take it however slow or fast you want to go. Do you want me to call you? Do you want me to text you? Because the last thing I want to do is be a burden and a hindrance on what you've got going on elsewhere, but I am here to support you. And the next thing you say is, everything we talk about is confidential unless it's a major safeguarding breach.
Which there is.
Which
always.
I'm in a relationship with a perpetrator.
Do you know what I mean?
My life is constantly at risk.
And even the fact when an IDVA gets involved, is it not high risk already?
Yeah.
So of course there's going to be safeguarding risk. Why not say you're under surveillance?
Yeah.
We're watching everything you do, and it's not up to me, but I have to report you back to the big guys, and something wrong could go on.
And when I was writing my notes and supporting the victims, I always said it. I was writing my notes as if I was going to be in court for a domestic abuse homicide review. I always wrote my notes that way. And when I tell people that, they're always shocked, because I'm like, well, what do you think this is? None of this is a concept.
No.
This is real women's lives. This is every single day we're supporting women who are at risk of being killed by their partner. None of this is a joke. And so when we are I mean, my notes used to be extensive. In fact, even the commissioning body. So the service that I was working on, they had like a commissioner and then almost like someone who governs it. So the people who were governing it, one of their managers was like, if I was a victim, I would want Layla to be my IDVA, because the way she writes her notes is impeccable. But I did that because of my lived experience. I did that because I thought, if this was me, I would want someone to go to court and be able to explain this properly. You know, to write down the pattern, to evidence it, to write down the way it's impacted the victim. And it's insane to think that this is what the system doesn't understand, is where you're lacking is you're not in touch with the survivors and victims. You're so out of touch with them.
Everything's buzzword, glossy social media campaign, anonymous quotes on how well the service supported them and whatnot. But I mean, where are the results? Yes, there are results. Great job. Like, not even sarcastically, amazing job. Violence against women and girls should not exist.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
We shouldn't even be here talking about it, Layla.
No, we should.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's to a point where if they're serious about it, they will combine every single service out there and make an actual plan, a proper plan, and literally throw money at ground level community organizations. The word is community. We're humans, we're animals, it's nature. We always go in packs, we always go in communities. Why on earth are we gonna trust this hovering organization?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? That is promising this and promising that, but where are the results?
At the end of the day, they have the money to be doing the work to save women's lives. They're the ones who have the money. So it doesn't matter how much we want to help survivors. We don't have the governance. Because we don't have the resources, we don't have the funding, we don't have the money to build teams. Constantly. And that's why when women come to me in crisis, I always have to say to them, I'm going to have to refer you back to such and such. And now sometimes they'll be begging me like, please no, because they did not support me in the first place. But there's nothing we can do to support women in crisis, because the organizations that have them, they're the ones that have the resources and the tools to do so, the governance to do so. If, for example, if women do end up being murdered by their perpetrator and they're on a service that isn't governed appropriately, that doesn't have the money, and then it's that service that ends up having to do a domestic abuse homicide review. When you're such a tiny grassroots organization, you can't take that on. You absolutely cannot take that on. So of course, like, these frontline services are so 100% needed, but any organization that practices in the sector is needed. All of it is crisis. All of the work is crisis work. It's not just at the point of women leaving.
It's a tug of war though, isn't it? Because they get their funding, we lose ours. Small organizations lose their funding. And this is literally the LinkedIn post that I put the other day, is because we're all, I said something like, we're pushing each other under the water, drowning our colleagues to stand on their shoulders to
Mm-hmm.
grab a piece of funding, and it's crumbs off a loaf.
Yeah.
Is what we're taking. We have to be grateful for it, otherwise
Yeah.
we'll be cast out.
Yeah.
It's just insane. And another thing, Women's Aid have done some amazing research on domestic abuse, funded by the government.
Mm-hmm.
They do these reports on domestic abuse, funded by the government. They then present the reports funded by the government to the government. What does the government do? What the fuck? You're just wasting time.
Yeah.
You're literally just wasting time.
Yeah.
You, like, realistically, we know there is an issue. We understand there are numbers that we don't fully know yet. Hence why the real.
How much more research do we have to do? How many
more
women have to come forward traumatized? How many more women have to die? How much more case studies do we have to present for the system to fucking listen so that we stop dying?
Yeah.
And in fact, I even hate using the term "we stop dying." We're not. Am I choosing to die? No. Someone is choosing. Yeah. Someone is taking my life in a violent way. Domestic abuse is an act of terror on someone's personal freedom.
Yeah.
It's a violation of your human rights.
100%.
And I'm sick and tired of the system not taking it seriously. How much more fucking research do I need to present to you?
It's enough to make you just say, do you know what?
I'm done. I can't be asked.
I don't know what you want from me anymore. What more do you need?
What more do you want?
I'm really hoping that as Andy Burnham comes in, is it Burnham?
I think so, yeah.
Eyelashes, right?
I don't know much about him, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah.
To me, they're all the same.
They are.
They're all the same.
They are. I do rate Keir Starmer for his approach to violence against women and girls. Although I feel like I'm having to be grateful for crumbs because it should not. It's
crumbs. I'm not grateful for any of it. I'll be honest. No.
Well, I'm personally, I am grateful for it. I'm grateful for this new VARG strategy. I'm grateful for Jess Phillips' voice within that, and because I attended the Home Office and spoke at the Domestic Abuse Commissioners Roundtable as a survivor, like in the capacity of a survivor, and they sat there and they listened to us. And whether something comes from that or doesn't, personally, I felt heard, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. I'm grateful for where we are at now, but so much more needs to be done. My gratefulness is not the closed door. It's not, oh, thank you, see you later. No, great. What's next?
Absolutely. Stage? And for me, the reason why I say like I'm not grateful is because it's a never-ending cycle and it's constantly done off the back of women, whether it's women dying and then being used as case studies, all lesson learned that won't happen again, and yet it happens again and again and again and again. One woman is being killed every 10 minutes by a partner or a family member. So as you say, like nothing is actually changing much. And then the system is relying on women who are traumatized as survivors to come forward and share their trauma over and over again for us to learn lessons. So the ones of us who did make it out alive, because that's what the term survivor is, we survive after the fact where other women have actually died, have been killed by their perpetrator. That's why I shed myself of shame of any stigma with the terms victim survivor, right? But then we're the ones who are expected to come forward, do speaking gigs for free, bleed for the audience for free, go to roundtable discussions for free. None of our time and expertise is subsidized in any way whatsoever. They're still doing it off our backs.
Yeah.
And yet we're the ones who have children. We're the ones who need to keep a roof over our heads, have to pay bills. And that's why I was so passionate about, the work that I'm doing with the survivor circles in terms of starting up a mentorship group program
so needed
for young women like yourself and the other girls we've got on the program, so that women can go out there, young women and girls can go out there and deliver this work, and it's fair and ethical. I'm sick and tired of watching young women and girls being used as poster childs for VARG strategies. And they're not even compensated for it. God knows it's. Ever since I've come out with my story, that's what's happened to me. People just expect it. They expect the free labor over and over again. And even when I'm requested to do speaking gigs, like at first I would do it for free because a lot of it you want to get out there, you want to get your name out there, you want to get your story out there because you're so passionate about sharing the mission and the message. And I've got to a point now where I'm invited to do speaking gigs. The first question I'll say is, what's your budget? Unless I want to give my time to something, like I've noticed someone, I can see what they're doing and I can see how much effort they're putting in, then I'll be like, 100%, I'm so down. I see the vision. When people approach me now, whether it's organizations or brands, it doesn't matter. My first thing will be like, what's your speaker budget? Oftentimes they'll be like, we don't have one. Sorry, I can't work with you then.
Because no, they do have a budget. They
No,
just
I know they
give it
do.
out. Yeah,
I know they do. They just believe, there's a belief that because we've come out to share our stories, that we should just be doing it for the love of the game.
yeah.
Do you think I'm in this for the love of the
Do you
game?
think love of the game pays my bills?
Do you think love of the game pays my
Do
bills?
you get it? No, I wish it did. 'Cause, hey, I would be rich. Oh my gosh.
I'm
No,
not here for the love of the game.
yeah. This is like I don't want other women to go through what I've been through. You don't want
Exactly.
other women to go through what you've been through, you know? And it's simple as that. This is the whole reason why I started the Real Count.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows that women do not come forward and talk about domestic abuse or report domestic abuse. We know it. We know that survivors don't. Because I was even watching a woman talk on Instagram the other day about her experience, and she ended it with, "I didn't report to the police. None of the other girls that dealt with him didn't report it to the police because we're scared."
Yeah.
How does this make sense? If I got stabbed right in the street, like we keep saying, if I got stabbed tomorrow, I would not be scared to go to the police.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. Yeah.
I'd be seen as a hero.
Yeah.
I'd be on Sky News. I'd be on BBC as a woman who survived a violent But when it's in the home, what's the difference? If I go outside and murder someone right now, 25 years. If I murder my partner, 15 years. Why? What's the difference between?
Well, even less. I mean, you're less likely to even end up in court. You're less likely to even be arrested and charged. Well, I know that I've shared this so many times openly, but at the point where I did report to the police, it was about a month after leaving my perpetrator, and when I did report it, the things I was told was most of this is outside of statute of limitations. There was only one incident that would have been within the statute of limitations because the last violent incident had happened in the August, and by the time I reported it, it was November. So it was the only one that, and that's just the remember, it was just the violence. Because how do you evidence coercive control when you don't even know what the fuck has happened to you, right? You can't even recognize the patterns of perpetration yourself. And then the next thing the police officer said to me was like, well, you don't have any evidence anyway. And most women who do report abuse don't end up pressing charges because they don't have enough evidence. And I was like, well, I guess that's that then.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, literally it was. It was like, I guess that's that then. What chance do I have?
Yeah.
If at the point of reporting, that's the information that's being fed back to me. Now we've changed the statute of limitations to 2 years, which was done by Erica. Actually, Erica had her on my first ever The Survivors Who Broke Their Silence. That was her mission, was to change it from 6 months to 24 months, and she managed to. I know, and even that, but even 2 years isn't enough. Like if you think about, I was with my ex-husband for 8.5 years.
Yeah.
I should have the chance to evidence that 8.5 years.
Yeah.
I should have the chance for everything within that 8.5 years to be taken into account
100%.
by the CPS. It shouldn't be just, what do you mean? Domestic abuse doesn't have a timeline.
No.
It doesn't just happen in 6 months or 2 years. And it's continuous. But Erica managed to get her campaign pushed through to Parliament, and they did change the statute of limitations to 2 years. But back then it was only 6 months. And I just remember thinking, oh, well, that's it then. No point.
Yeah, there's
No point.
Yeah.
You're not, because we're not viewed as perfect victims. Yeah.
Ugh!
What are we supposed to do?
I hate that phrase.
Just sit there and allow someone to berate you, and then you do that, and they say, "Why don't you stand up for yourself?"
That's it. And then when social services get involved, she's very quiet.
Yeah.
She's not able to protect herself.
Yeah, so therefore she's not a protective
she's
factor
not a
for the
protective factor
children.
because
Yeah.
I'm a perfect victim. It's
Yeah.
like you get done by one system,
Yeah.
and it's like you're multiple angles you're getting hit at, especially when you're a mother, right? Is the whole thing needs to change. I really genuinely feel like the whole thing needs to be knocked down and rebuilt again, like a whole new system.
Oh yeah. Whilst most of my work is about policy reform, because I know I have to work with the system, I think the system needs to be abolished completely, 100%.
And built up again.
But can we abolish it? That's a different story. So I'm always stuck between the two. It absolutely needs to be abolished, 100% to the ground. Yeah. But is that a possibility? No, it's not right now. In our lifetime, I don't think it is. That's the reality.
I think it is a possibility.
Oh, go on.
But they don't want to do it.
No, but that's my point. Yeah, that's my point. So then, knowing the reality of the fact that we can't abolish the system and burn it to the ground, I have to work with it and somehow reform it. I have to, because again, what's the alternative?
Literally, if you can't beat it, join it.
And
that's what we've done.
Yeah.
Because what else are we supposed to do?
What else are we supposed to
do? Wait, like looking out the window. Is it done? Is the revolution started? If this was France 10 years ago,
off with their head.
I really genuinely feel like, okay, in an ideal world, let's talk hypothetically here. If they managed to set a time, let's say 5 years, I'm going to be generous, right? 5 years, they set a window in which they're going to transfer from the old system to a new system. And any single case up until a certain point gets dealt with the old system, which I don't even agree with, but it has to be a starting point. And then from that point onwards, the new system is being put in place. They've had 5 years to set it up. It's been approved by a board of survivors. And then it continues that way. Like the family courts don't have gagging orders on them.
Yeah.
You don't get gagged in family court. You can't get. Why the hell are abusers managing to get restraining orders against
It's
the
absolutely
victims?
wild. Yep.
How crazy is
Yeah.
that? And social services, more. I genuinely think social services needs more money.
Yeah, oh my God, 100%. Because as much as I'll sit here and, you know, be the biggest critic of the system, the reality is that something needs to be done, and we're still always constantly coming back down to money. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's it.
literally money.
Yeah, they profit off our backs. You know that. The
100%.
system profits off
Of
the
course.
fact that we are victims of violence and abuse.
Yeah, yeah.
Fact.
Facts. All like the health
Yeah.
and social sector, chopped up, privatized, sold off to the highest bidder. Even children's homes, they're not even
Yeah.
state run
Yes.
anymore.
Yeah.
They're privatized
Privatized,
now
yeah.
for profit. I can't tell you how much them guys are earning from it. It's ridiculous. It needs to end. They need more funding. Social workers cannot deal with 20 to 50 to 60 families on their caseload when there are serious safeguarding concerns, because
Yeah.
and there are families out there that have serious safeguarding concerns. There are children that need help. Social services are vital to the community, but they need to be approached. They need to approach in a different manner, because right now they're pulling apart the families that don't need it. They're allowing the families that do need it to go, and children are ending up murdered. We've seen it in the news even recently.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how they think the system is viable. Things that don't get covered enough, generally ACE scores. I know it's more of an
ACEs.
ACEs. Yeah, I know it's more of an American thing.
No,
Adverse
no, we
childhood
use it. We
experiences.
use it here.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah. We
I
use
didn't
it
know
here.
that.
Yeah.
So
In the system, we use it here
when
too.
you've got a high ACE score, it's got a ripple effect for so many things to go wrong in your life. And I don't know if this is like a professional thing that's been determined, but I noticed there's a difference obviously between unavoidable ACEs and avoidable ACEs. So like a parent dying is it's unavoidable. If your parent, like, you know, loses their life in an accident, it's tragic, it's unavoidable, but you've now got an ACE score. But your dad being abusive or your mum being a drug addict, that's avoidable.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So, you know, we've got to try and protect our children as much as we possibly can, because there are going to be unavoidable ACEs, but, you know, the avoidable ones we need to protect them from. Putting a child in care as an ACE is an adverse childhood experience.
Yeah.
You're contributing towards the next generation of children that are going to grow up to either become perpetrators or victims of abuse. And they know of this cycle, but because England loves a good old system, loves a good old, you know, institution, we stick with it because it's all we know.
It's all we know, yeah.
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 And they always say if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's fucking broke.
It is broke.
Let's fix
broke.
it. You know, it's insane. The whole system needs reform. Social services, NHS, maybe not NHS, but like the frontline hospitals, when survivors come in and the first thing is, oh, send it to socials.
I don't think people understand how long it really takes for you to even contemplate that leaving is a viable option. Because even at that point, I was like, I just want him to change.
Yeah.
I just want him to stop being abusive.
This is one of the options that I put in the real count as well. Because a lot of people think that survivors don't leave abuse because they're being blackmailed, because they're under coercive control of behavior, because they're under surveillance, whatever the reason is. A lot of the time, I'll rephrase that. Some of the times, survivors don't leave their perpetrator because they love them.
Yeah.
They genuinely believe they're going to change. And this is the issue with the love bombing and the abuse cycle. Because after an abusive situation, after an abusive, what's the word? After the abuse,
a cycle, an abusive cycle,
they move on to the love bombing, and you think, oh my gosh, they can be this perfect, they can get me flowers, and they can love me how I need to be loved, like the person's in there that I need. And then they go to the abuse again, and it just feeds into the mindset that I've seen him like this before. It means that he can. It's normal fucking thinking for us, isn't it? That I've seen him like this before. It means that he can be like this long term. It's a choice. He's choosing to be an asshole to me. He's choosing to hurt me. And that's why some people don't leave, because they genuinely believe that the person's going to change. And that's what I'm seeing patterns of as well in the data that we're getting back from survivors filling out the real count, is that it's ongoing and they're not leaving. They're not able to leave, or they think they can't leave because they believe that the person's going to change. They want to keep their family together for the children, and they love them.
Yeah. And so many times, like, women will say to me, like, oh, you know, especially when I was working frontline, they'll say, you know, do you think they can change? People can change if they want to. That's the only way people can change. If they put in the time and effort that it truly takes for you to change your behavior. Even then, it's never overnight. It's going to be a really, really long time, especially for someone as a perpetrator to change, right? Because they have to change the whole belief system and unlearn the behavior and all of that.
Everything,
right? So no matter how much work you do with perpetrators, it's still down on them. And then also the reality is that most times when perpetrators are referred into perpetrator programs, it's mostly been by the system. It's not been off their own back.
Oh my gosh. Part of my book covered this. I'm writing a book, right? And it's called The Elephant in the Home.
Yeah.
Like, you know, got the elephant in the room stance, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's about the question that I put forward to you earlier. Is like, do you think domestic abuse and abusive behaviour is a mental health disease? Not depression, not schizophrenia. Like, would call it a whole new different thing, and it would be like some new research, whatever. And I was looking at the fact that these perpetrator courses, are they any use? Because the majority of the time, a perpetrator has got the characteristic traits of thinking they're godly. There's nothing wrong with them. It's everyone else. It's the woman in his life that's pissing him off. That's why he beat her up, because like you said, you know,
Yeah, he
an
feels
example,
justified.
it feels justified.
Yeah.
Why on earth would these people go and put themselves in to
So
a cause?
So I think, because I had this view a really long time ago, especially way before I went into the sector to work, right? I always was like, perpetrator programs are null and void. They don't do anything. You know, perpetrators don't change. They're going to remain abusive forever, right? Wherever. And then I went into the system, into the sector, and I started practicing. And I went into the sector being like, I'm never going to work with perpetrators. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot barge pole. Absolutely not. I'm made to work with women frontline and only, right? And then I started to see perpetrator programs differently from the inside. And they're really, really misunderstood. Perpetrator programs, everything we do is with the victim at the center. Working with the perpetrators is about reducing the harm to the victim. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and one of the reasons why I stopped practicing as an IDVA was because I felt like I was still at mercy of the perpetrator. And I realized that my skills were better placed with perpetrators, that actually I could have more of an impact of reducing the risk of harm and the risk of homicide with the perpetrators than I did with the victims.
Right.
Because when you work, exactly, it's closer to the root cause. When you work with victims, you're still at the mercy of the perpetrator. You think that leaving minimizes risk. No. It might marginally.
I think it increases it.
But domestic abuse is about ultimate power and control and terrorizing the person's personal freedom, right? And so if the perpetrator is involved in the victim's life, in the woman's life, it doesn't matter how active or passive it is, they will always find a way to perpetrate. So therefore, regardless of how skilled you are, I was still coming up against a brick wall, because no matter what skills you can give a victim, if the perpetrator is going to perpetrate, there's nothing you can do about it. So I was like, okay, I started to view perpetrator work differently, because I was also watching my colleagues, you know, actually deliver perpetrator work. And I was like, actually, maybe my skills are better placed here. So then when I started going through that route and started exploring that avenue, I realized how much closer to the root cause it was working with perpetrators, and how safer we keep victims and survivors by working with the perpetrators rather than just working with the victims alone. So there is a huge misconception about what perpetrator work is. They think that you're just going into these group programs and like you all go there like, oh, I'm so sad for you. I promise you now, none of that happens in these programs. Well, definitely not in the ones that I've either worked on or witnessed, you know. That does not happen. And with perpetrator work, you can be a lot more cutthroat. And for me, I realized that I was a lot better skilled working with perpetrators. So I don't think
That's really interesting.
but I went into the sector. Like, I even started when I was doing my domestic abuse intervention and prevention qualification. I started that thinking, I will never work with perpetrators. In fact, my course leader at the time, when there are in the curriculum where you learn about perpetrator behavior and how to work with perpetrators, I remember saying to her, I don't even want to do this part of the course.
Right.
And she was like, no, Layla, you have to.
You
go if you want to go practice however you want to practice in the sector, you have to do. You need to carry it with you. And that's how I went into working into the sector, and I came out a completely different person.
That's really interesting.
That's really. But working with perpetrators allows me to keep women and girls safer.
No, it makes sense. It's like the argument of us putting contraception on men rather than women, because men can get however many women pregnant per year. They can also abuse however many women per year. It makes total sense to make perpetrators over victims. That is really interesting.
But I understand why people have that view of perpetrator, because I had it as well, because I don't think there's a lot of understanding and awareness and education around what perpetrator programs are. And I do think we need to talk about it a little bit more. And it's something that we need to explore more. But people who are working in the sector, if they are violence prevention officers, that's what they call them, or practitioners, working with perpetrators, I'm telling you, these people don't have time to come on podcasts because they're so busy doing their jobs. They don't have time. They're overprescribed on these perpetrator programs. They don't have time to come here and talk to me about these things.
Yeah.
But you've just made me realize that actually I need to get more people on to talk
I think
about
you
it,
should,
to
100%.
break
Have a
down this
listen.
barrier,
Yeah,
to
I think that'd be
really
really
to give a bit of a
interesting.
better picture, because I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I saw it for myself and I was like, oh wow, actually, this does keep women and girls
Did they
safe.
actually engage though? Like, can you see? It's hard because they're so charming and they're
Yeah.
so manipulative.
Yeah.
But from your experience,
Yeah.
do you genuinely feel like they were engaging and they wanted
They
to change?
they engage and they don't engage, but their engagement doesn't mean they're going to change.
Because this is the issue. Because in part of my book that I cover this, like perpetrator programs, is that an example is speeding tickets. When people that have broken the law by speeding,
Yeah.
they have to go to the speed awareness courses.
Yeah.
Why are they going?
They're
They're
going
not
because
going
yeah,
because
because
you know
they're
what I
in
mean?
trouble. They're
They're
not
in
going because they
trouble. They're
want
not
to.
going because they
Yeah.
genuinely are
But
concerned
that's
about
my
the public
point.
and
That's why the
speeding.
answer to that question is, can they change? Is really
Down to
like
them.
it's down to them, because I have a personal view on it, and then I have a professional view on it, and my
Yeah.
professional view is still very nuanced.
Right.
I want the change to happen.
Yeah.
Can it happen? That's not on me. The change is down to the person themselves. My ex-husband actually put himself on a perpetrator course willingly, but he did it as a control tactic, thinking that I'd get back with him.
Same.
So
Same.
when he saw that I was not going to resume the relationship, he didn't engage, but he'd already been assessed by the program as suitable for the perpetrator part of it, and I received an IDVA for the victim support. So regardless, the change has to come from the person. My ex-husband didn't want to change.
No.
He used it as a control tactic, thinking that he was going to win me back. When he saw that I wasn't going to go back,
doesn't matter.
there was no effort there to change. And that's my point. That's why when I talk to women and they ask me these questions, I ask them to look at it with a much broader scope, because regardless of how much you want them to change, whether they change or not is not in your control. It's only in their control.
Because every single time as well, which I hate to say, but is my truth, it's from experience. Every single time you let them back in your life, let me rephrase that. Every single time you continue the relationship with them or go back with them, the abuse will get worse. Yeah. 100% every single time.
And even if it's seemingly they've done okay, for example, after whatever behavior change work they've undertaken, they will just find another way. Unless they really have changed, they will find another way. And I personally don't think that if a perpetrator takes on behavior change work, I don't think that they can change within that relationship.
Do you know the only time I've seen a perpetrator change is in old age?
I've only seen it in young age. So when you ask,
really?
so perpetration in young adults is easier to intervene and have like a longer impact on their behavior than later on as adults.
So I've spoken to a lot of survivors who have said or touched very lightly on their own father and how their father was abusive, but now that he's older and more like frail, they get along better. And it seems now that they know they're vulnerable, the power dynamic has changed and they need them now.
But that's it. Again, even then, it's just it's just them manipulating the situation, because it is never going to change what they did.
No.
It's never going to change what they did.
It's really sad and it's scary. It really is scary. I don't know why this is still an issue in this day and age. It's 2026.
And it will continue to be an issue, which is why I learned quite quickly in this sector that if you want to do something, you want to do it well, you link arms with other people, other women, in my case, who have beliefs in alignment with yours, because not everyone is your friend and not everyone can be your tribe. And for me, a big part of this work has been finding my tribe. When we first met and you were talking, and I was just like blown away. I was like, oh my God. First of all, because I thought, here is this young woman who, when I was your age, I was very much in the thick of being with a perpetrator. So I didn't even have the language. And I was watching you talk to me and I was just like, I felt like I was having this out of body experience. I was like, oh my God, like she understands. She's so well articulate and, she gets it. She really understands what this mission is about. That's when I met you. I was like, I see the vision just as clear as she does.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know who got me them tickets?
Who?
Gemma.
Oh my God, was it Gemma?
So
No
on my
way.
LinkedIn campaign of terror, as I was reaching out to everyone,
Yeah.
reached out to Gemma, told her about the real count, because at that point it was an idea. It wasn't actually
Yeah.
anything. I was just like, I got this really cool idea. Like,
Yeah.
this is what, February, March
Yeah.
this year.
It was March.
Yeah, so I reached out to her and we had a very informal
Gemma
phone
is,
call. She's so
I love
lovely.
Gemma.
We had a very informal phone call. I just gave her some ideas and she said, look, I really want you to go to this event. It's called the Big Festoon. And I said, you know what? Okay, like, why not? I took my son with
Yeah.
me in the little, how old was he? He must be about 7, 8 months, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Like Baba. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to go unless Gemma put me in touch with Big Festoon as
Yeah.
well. I couldn't even afford the tickets at the time.
Yeah.
So they had something for disadvantaged women
Yeah.
to attend, and that's how I managed to go there. And you're the first stall that I saw. And
Yeah.
I thought, I'm seeing, this great stuff, holistic crystals. Where are my people at?
Yeah.
I see
And we
your,
find each
you know what
other.
I mean? I saw Survivor Circle and I just went tunnel vision, like,
Zoom.
no, over there. I got this draw to you, but no, it was amazing. I felt the same energy when we first spoke and you told me about what you were doing as well. I thought Bella was the owner of it. Bella
No
looked
way.
so mature. She's sitting there. I was thinking, I need to speak to Bella. I obviously didn't know at the time. I was thinking, this is the woman I need to speak to, not knowing she's
Everyone
daughter.
thinks Bella is so much older than what she is.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I was about to approach her like, hi, my name's Angelique. Nice to meet you. How's your day?
Yeah.
No, but when you approached me, I thought, yeah, like this is perfect. I met
Yeah.
lovely women there, but this is the one actual connection and relationship built that I'm genuinely so excited about.
I just knew, like, from that first moment we met, that I was like, yeah, this woman is so special and she's going to go on to do incredible things. And I believe in your vision and I believe in everything that you're doing. And for me, it is an honor to be witnessing this unfold in front of me.
Yeah,
and where it is at now, as much progress as you've made, this is just the beginning for you.
100%. 100%. I genuinely do believe that. Because the growth that we've seen so far in just a short amount of months, you don't see this usually. It's insane. I'm very happy about it, but at the same time, it breaks my heart because services like this, services like ours, global charters, anonymous services for survivors should not have to be a thing in this day and age. You and I should be out there enjoying life, rooftop bars, being girls.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl.
I'm literally just a girl. At the end of the day, I'm just a girl. Like, we had to pause halfway through this to top up lip gloss.
This is what life is about. I don't want to be talking about men and their fuckery. Like, give me the makeup kit. Let me look cute. And now I'm here. But
I just want to be on a rooftop bar.
Do you know what I mean? With a lychee martini in one hand, cigarette. I don't smoke. Cigarette in the other hand, and just have at it.
And I just want to say, because obviously, so I'm known for this work, right? And everyone just thinks like this strong woman doing this vlog work and all of that. Do you know, like, when I go home, I am an absolute princess. My partner takes care of me, looks after me. When we go out, she's the one strapping up my shoes. Like, I don't go out with money. I bring my lip gloss and she takes care of me.
Tiniest little clutch bag.
Literally. Yeah. Sometimes I don't even have enough space to put my phone in it. I need you all to understand that outside of this work, I'm literally just a girl. And that's how I want to live my life.
One day we will get there. Lola.
We have to get there.
We will just be able to be. What do you do for a living? I'm a
just
girl.
a girl.
Just a girl. Okay. That's it. Not I've created a global charter for domestic violence across the world. I've created an anonymized platform for unreported domestic abuse survivor circle. It shouldn't have to be that.
But just to round this off, because you are like a permanent fixture of my life now and the work that I do. I want and you'll be back. That's why I say that, because you will be back. We're not going anywhere. But please, can you tell the people, the women that are listening to this, where they can access you and the real count?
Yeah, so my social media is Angelique C. Brown, which is my personal account, and the Real Count UK can be accessed through any platform of ours, really. It's the Real Count UK, and the website is just therealcount.org.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming today,
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.